Welcome to Ask the Tech Coach, brought to you by the TeacherCast Educational Network. If you are in charge of professional development and looking to build an innovative digital learning experience, this is the podcast for you. Join us each week as we uncover strategies that tech coaches are using to drive their digital transformations one classroom at a time. And now for your host, with over 2 decades of experience working with tech coaches and ed tech companies from all around the world, Jeff Bradbury.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the TeacherCast Educational Network. My name is Jeff Bradbury. Thank you so much for joining us today and making TeacherCast your home for professional development. This is Ask the Tech Coach podcast, episode number 117. And today I have 2 amazing guests and new authors of a fantastic tech coaching book we're going to talk all about today. But today I want to ask you guys a very important question. You see, we're in the middle of this whole thing. We're in the middle of the second marking period. We're getting ready for Thanksgiving, the holiday seasons. How are you guys doing? I know for myself, I'm trying to find that balance between school, life, family, spouse, all of that stuff. Even last night I was up and working with some teachers who are going to be going remote. Does that sound familiar? Does that sound like something that you guys are doing? Do you feel like you're taking work home? We're going to talk about all those topics and more. We have a great show for you guys today. Stick around for all of that great stuff. But before we get into our interview, I want to remind you guys that our TeacherCast Tech Coaches Network is going strong. We're tipping north of about 300 tech coaches, all surrounding each other to help provide great professional development, great professional learning. And if you guys have anything that's on your mind, it is a great location. Check us out today over at askthetechcoach.net. You can sign up for free with our form. Check that out over at askthetechcoach.net. Join the Tech Coach Network today. We would love to have you here. My guests today are amazing tech coaches, presenters, good friends, and the authors of an amazing new book coming out soon. Actually, it is out by the time you guys are listening to this, from Dave Burgess Publishing, all about being a technology coach. It's called the Complete EdTech Coach. I want to bring on Mr. Adam Juarez and Katherine Goyette. Guys, how are you today? Welcome to the show.
Great, man. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
Yeah.
I am so excited. I had a chance. I haven't read the book yet in full, but I had a chance to skim through all the different chapters, see all the sections. As I said at the top of the show here, published by Dave Burgess and all the great stuff that Dave and Shelley are doing. How are you guys? How's things out in you're California, right?
Yep. Yeah, we're in Central California. We're in the flyover part of California. We're right in the middle of the state, right in the center. Like it's all farmland. It's not the California you see on TV. It's not LA. It's not the Bay Area. It's not San Diego. But we're a few hours from everything, so we can get to all those cool places in a couple hours, and Yosemite included. So it's right in the middle. But the weather's starting to change here. It's getting cold for California. It's in the 30s at night. So that's how we do it over here. But we're hanging in there.
Nice.
Yeah. It's been quite a journey. I don't think I tell teachers all the time, fall of 2019, we would have expected that we would be in this place right now. So as far as us, I'm doing most of my work from home. Adam's going into a classroom. Tech coaching, man, ed tech coaching has just become so valuable that it can be exhausting. And working from home can be exhausting sometimes, or for some people it can be nice. It just depends on who you are and how you feel about that. But I have to say, there are things we talk about in the book, actually, about what happens when you get exhausted and you feel like you're starting to burn out, and where do you go, and making sure that you're still yourself and you're authentic and you're not burnt out, essentially. You got to be there for your people.
That's right.
Well, it's great to have you. Let's set the stage here. Kat, tell us a little bit about your tech coaching, what grades, who do you work with, that kind of thing. And then Adam, I'll put you second on the list there.
Thanks. So my first role outside of the classroom was at a single site K-5, and did a lot of ed tech coaching there, really beginning, they were kind of at the beginning stages. And now this is my 5th year at a county office. So here in California, a county office supports a number of districts, K-12. So we have over 200 schools. And what's really interesting about that, especially right now, is that we have a lot of different models. Some are back in school, some are not, some are opening in a hybrid model, some are completely distant still. So it's been interesting. Adam?
Yeah, so I work in the county where Katherine works, where she supports all those schools that don't have someone like me full time.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm in a Cutler-Orosi Joint Unified School District. It's a small district. We have 1 high school, 1 middle school, 3 elementaries, and a continuation. So I'm in charge of all the ed tech for grades 6 through 12. So I spend most of my time at the high school and the middle school. This is going to be my 6th year now in that position. Before that, I was a full-time U.S. and world history teacher and soccer coach. So they kind of saw that I was using the tech that I had available to me in an innovative way. So they said, "Hey, we have this new job. We're going to be going Google very soon. So you should give this job a shot." And I just grabbed it by the scruff of the neck, and it's been a wild ride. I always thought I'd end up being some kind of forever teaching history and coaching soccer, but now I'm coaching something different now. So it's been a wild ride. I didn't expect it, but I wouldn't have had it any other way.
There is quite a difference between coaching students and coaching adults,
Yes.
but both have the same, take home effect, right? Like you're at work, you're doing it, you're excited, you got all the energy going, but then even when you go home, you're still thinking about it. You're still prepping it. You're still planning it. You're still doing phone calls. You're still doing emails at all hours of the night. How do you guys manage that transition? Can you turn it off? Do you turn it off? Do you hit the snooze button on your email? Adam, talk to us a little bit about some of the tips and tricks that you've learned over the years to kind of manage that home-work balance.
We never turn anything on or off, because then I don't think we're really being true to our authentic selves. That's something we talk about in the book, because we talk about don't search for a work-life balance. You want to search for that work-life fusion. If you have that work-life fusion in mind, you don't have an on or off switch, but you may have a pause button. So when you're at work, you're still yourself. You're still a husband, a father, a brother, all those things. You're a fan of your favorite teams. When you're at home, you're still an educator. When I get home, I don't switch it off. I can't. I'm still thinking of that one student that I'm trying to reach, or that one teacher, how I can better serve them. So I don't turn it off. I mean, I'll be honest, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who's searched and bought something on Amazon when they're at work. Let's be honest. I mean, that's something I'm sure that we do in our passing time. But we don't need to, as long as you're not doing that when you're in front of kids. But don't be ashamed of that. You can be yourself all the time. It's managing that pause button. As far as managing, my workflow and stuff, I don't have any fancy tips, but I take the simplest tools that I find in G Suite. I think the thing that probably has helped me more than anything, especially since the pandemic started, is Google Tasks. I use that religiously for everything that I do at work and at home, for paying my bills or remembering to respond to emails. It's something, that simple little tool goes such a long way. I've probably written about a dozen blog posts in the last 6 months just about how to do it and how to get the most out of it, because it's definitely it's made me much more sane in this crazy time.
I was looking through your blog as I was preparing for today, and it is amazing. And I think this is the same for myself. We are better at home because we're tech coaches, because we know how to do those little things like calendars and budgets and spreadsheets and tasks and putting it all together. I know that helps me run my household a lot easier. Kat, what do you think? How do you manage the whole daytime, nighttime, turning it on, turning it off concepts here?
Yeah, for me, and everyone's different. But for me, I found for a while that, I want to be present with those I'm serving. And so I would get distracted by emails. right? I get distracted by, and because I feel like I've got to be there for everyone. And so what I do now is I really try to focus on what's happening, knowing that I'm going to check my email. And when I love the Gmail snooze button, and I know there's many other email programs have that as well. And so I can decide when I want that to go to the top of my inbox again. The other thing I started doing, I tell people, my norm is, and my expectation of myself is that I will answer emails within 24 hours. And so what that means is, rather than, for me, I didn't like staying late at a school site or after a professional development session I lead with some teachers and answering emails at the end of the day. I'd rather go home, be with my family. I'm still thinking about work, but because I told everyone within 24 hours, and I have that snooze button, if it is urgent, I know to get it later that day or whatever. I would get up in the mornings. I was doing this for a while. Get up in the mornings, answer my emails before I go to work, and then I felt like I've got this system. So I think that if you have a system, you're not feeling like you're going different directions all the time. You say, I know I'm going to do this at this time. I know I'm going to follow-ups too. I found that I work with, for those of you that are working with a lot of different school sites, a lot of different groups of teachers, how do you follow up in between? How do you have those check-ins, those touch points? I have to schedule them. I have to schedule them and say, hey, I'm going to see you in a couple weeks. This is what we talked about. I'm looking, just a touch point. I look forward to seeing you. Let me know if you have questions. Makes a big difference.
You guys both mentioned two very important things. Adam mentioned tasks. You had mentioned the snooze button. I know one of my favorite tools is that whole send email later. Because often at times, it's after dinner, the kids are asleep, and you are going through your emails and you just start firing things off and you realize, oh, things are coming back to me now. But usually I just have to remember, like if it's 8 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, you set that thing to start firing your emails off at 8 in the morning. You actually start getting more done because you realize that the other people that are sitting up at night, they're getting them, they're doing it, and they're just doing exactly what you're doing. They're trying to balance their home and work life. What other tips and tricks do you guys have to keep this whole home and office ready? I mean, really, we're talking about organization. We're talking about mental preparedness. I know for myself, I find every time I walk into a classroom, I'm talking about the kids. When I go home, I'm talking about the teachers. I try not to always do that, but that is really difficult.
And I think that's important. Our kids know what we do, and we bring them into our work. In essence, we have a county tech conference that we have every year, and we had Adam's daughters came and led a session showing teachers how to do book snaps. Yeah. And so Ashley actually asked, hey, when's Tech Rodeo? I want to do that again. This year it'll be virtual, but my son edits, he's in high school and he is in a video editing class. And so he edits videos for us. And so I think that's really important that they feel a part of it, not that there's home and there's work and that's it. I want to be involved in their school life as well. And so I think that's similar.
Yeah, we involve them as much as we can. We actually use them as guinea pigs. So many times Katherine's doing a session for elementary. She's like, hey, bring the girls over here. I want them to try something out. And the girls just love being involved, and just it really just strengthens our relationship. And they love telling their friends and their teachers, hey, oh yeah, but my dad and stepmom they work for Google. They just think that's
not
so
really,
cool.
but okay.
So of course, every time we visit the mothership over in Mountain View, we always have to bring them some kind of a souvenir. But we've really kind of, I wouldn't say mastered it, but I think we've done a good job fusing our family life and professional life.
You kind of said something, I don't think I heard the word, but you kind of put the nail on the head there. You said if you have a project, you find somebody else to do your video work for you. Yeah. And we call that outsourcing in the professional world. And I'm looking at that going, yeah, that is my problem, right? Like we come home, we do the dad thing, we do the kid thing, we do the bed thing, and then I'm up creating and editing videos for school for the next day. How do you stop that? And I think the answer is simple. You wait till your kids are older, teach them how to do video, and then you got a little bit more time on your hands. So just so I know here, at what point do you start outsourcing the projects that you have to do for work to your kids?
It all depends. Like, again, we have, my stepson, Dylan, he's 17 and he's been in that video production class for 4 years. That's what he's going to go to college to do. So we're fortunate. He's way more skilled than we are at it.
He'll do 10 minutes. It'll take us an hour.
Yeah. I mean, I just got to do a little bit of iMovie and Screencastify, but he's got Adobe certification. We are very fortunate that he has really jumped into that.
Adam, that was the wrong answer. I just suddenly had to say, oh my goodness, I have 10 years before that has to happen.
Well, for my daughters, my daughters are 7, 8, and 9, so they're still a ways away. But my middle daughter, she's 8. She's all into that. For her birthday last year, I bought her a premium subscription to Screencastify because she wanted to learn how to screencast and how to do some basic editing. And now she's inherited my old MacBook Air, and she's learning how to do iMovie, and she's just running with it. So when my stepson kind of moves on to bigger things, we have his successor ready made.
But even so, like you said, Adam, outsourcing, so to speak, can also be, I just want to try this with a student. And so, hey, is this something you would enjoy and is this something that's doable? I mean, we know our kids are probably a little more techie than many just because we live it and they see us do it a lot, but it still is helpful in that way also.
I've tried that. And the nice thing about doing it that way is you don't have to buy them dinner. You don't have to, or college or anything like that. The book is called The Complete EdTech Coach, an Organic Approach to Supporting Digital Learning. Talk to us a little bit about it. How did it come about? What made you share your passions with the world, and where do we get it?
Well, when we started writing it, we were thinking back to when we started as EdTech coaches, and we were harking back to it, and we're like, you know what? When we started, there was no book to read for us when we started. There's books on coaching, but not EdTech coaching in particular. So we sought to write the book that we wish we had when we started as EdTech coaches. And that book is all the conversations that we've had at the dinner table, in the car, blog posts that we wrote. These are all real stories from our successes and failures over the last 5 to 6 years in this role.
Well, and that's why it's called an organic approach, because we adapt based on the context of what's happening. This is why, even though we're at a distance now, the approach is designed, the book is designed to be device agnostic, platform agnostic. It's really about, how do I build those relationships? How do I make sure that I am providing a personalized approach with people, and not doing this kind of one size fits all type approach. And so we have grown organically and continue to grow in the way that we coach now, to be in a distance and hybrid model as well. And so similarly, we wanted to inspire others and give them some strategies and practical tips to do the same.
It's all, when we say organic, it's the organic approach. It's based off of the people we serve. Mm-hmm. We know one of our big catchphrases in the book is we lead with learning, never with tech. We're worried about the student learning first. If there's a no tech option, we're not going to push that aside just because we're tech coaches. It's the learning that comes first. It's a people first approach.
Mm-hmm. And that's such important. We're sitting here at episode 117. I know we've already recorded a bunch other than that. Like, we've done over 120 EdTech Coaches podcasts here. And I can't tell you, it's probably more than 75% of them have come down to, hey guys, it's all about relationships. It's all about the way you work with people. It's all about the way you interact with people. And no more is that true, and harder right now. I know your districts are very unique from each other. My district is, we're all kind of in that same boat here, where we're not in the classrooms every day. We're in different buildings every day. So how do you have those relationships when you're not seeing somebody every day? And how do you have those relationships when everyone's at home now. You can't walk into somebody's living room and sit down for 20 minutes and go, hey, how you doing? So I'm just going to put you on the spot here, Adam. How do you do it? How do you do tech coaching in a hybrid learning environment when somebody's off, they're making lunch for their own kids?
Yeah, I can empathize with that totally. I've had to be on my on-call videos right next to my daughter, who's 7-year-old, who's on Zoom. So that's been a juggling act. But yeah, one of the catchphrases I hear a lot nowadays from the administrators that I work with is, it's all about we're just going to give grace to people. Right now, we're going to be extending a lot of grace because we're all in this together. We're all brand new educators right now. That this is unforeseen. So yeah, that's kind of my mindset when as I tackle this. But about a month ago, I wrote a blog post about how my coaching has evolved here in distance learning, how it's different. Before, one of the things we talk about in the book is become a walking coach, which means your goal is to be in classrooms 80% of the day. Now, that's not always feasible, but that's a goal that we set for ourselves. Well, I can't do that anymore. I can't walk classrooms anymore and drop Post-it notes on people the way I used to. So how has that changed? It's changed where a lot of my coaching now, daily, I'm on call. I have an on-call Google Meet that's standing. It's a standing Google Meet that's open certain hours every day. Teachers can drop in as needed. That's one way that I've evolved. Another way that a lot of my coaching has evolved is, if you've looked at my blog, I've been kind of a prolific blogger for the last 3 months. Almost every day I'm shooting one out. And all of those blogs are requests I'm getting from teachers, ideas teachers have, support they have. So, I need to keep a running record of what I coach, because we talk about you need to have a tech coaching vehicle, something that shows a record of what you've done, because, before the pandemic, tech coaches, at least out here in California, a lot of them, those positions were being cut. The day may come where you need to fight for your job and say, why are we paying you to do this? And you need to have that record. So I have that. My blog is a record of things that teachers ask of me, and that becomes a blog. I shoot it out on my blog. It goes into the emails to all the teachers that I serve, and it's a living, evolving resource for them.
Well, let me ask you a question about that, because what you mentioned is something that I struggle with. What you mentioned is something that other tech coaches have brought up in the TeacherCast Tech Coaches Network, which is, you're in school, you're doing school, you're being asked by school, but now you're creating another professional channel, your blog and my TeacherCast. You've got your own. And that's where you're putting the answers to school questions, and you're using it to better yourself personally, professionally, but you're also using it for school. How do you make that balance? And then, obviously this is for both of you guys, but how do you make that balance of your blog is obviously what's getting you the speaking gigs, the book gigs, the conferences, all that stuff, but it's really an outward answer to what's happening in your classrooms. Where's that balance for you?
I think part of it is, EdTech, the EdTech community has to be connected beyond our schools, because typically an EdTech coach is one of the only coaches for tech in the district, right? And so I feel like for myself, I have been encouraged to learn from others, and so similarly, I want to teach others. And so, I kind of feel, and I've been told this too, if you are out there, Katherine, and you are doing things, then that's that's bringing attention to us, to our organization as well, to our county office. So I really believe that it benefits everyone. And I also would say that there is no other way to do it without burning yourself out. The more that you put your ideas out there, the more that you will hear from others, the more connected you will be. And so I really feel like it's a necessity to be connected and to both share and learn from others in this, because tech just moves too fast. There's no way that we can be experts in every single app and everywhere they did all the updates and all these different things. And so I'm sharing things about what have more expertise in, because that's what my districts are doing. And yet if someone asks about augmented reality and I'm like, well, I don't really know much about that, then I can go ask someone else that's been blogging about that and has been doing that in their districts. So I kind of feel like it's something that benefits everyone.
As far as like, how do we avoid that burnout? And I know, Jeff, I'm preaching the choir with you, but, you have your podcasts here and your networks. I have my blogs, my websites and stuff. We're constantly putting ourselves out there, and, at first there's that initial fear, that imposter syndrome. Mm-hmm. But once you get over that and you're out there and people give you feedback, mm-hmm. and you see people are liking posts, are commenting and asking you questions, it's kind of a rush. And that kind of just fuels you empowers you to want to do more. Well, what's next? Well, what's the next idea that I come up with that I use to support my teachers, that I can put out there that might support someone else? And because I get this constant stream of feedback from my network, that fuels me. If I wasn't getting any feedback from it, I wouldn't feel like that impetus to continue doing it. So it kind of like it builds upon itself.
I love what you just said, right? You have something, you get fueled, you get excited, you get energized, you want to do more. Kind of sounds like the coaching model, right? Now, we as tech coaches are the ones that are go-getters, motivated. We did what we needed to do. We got out of the classroom. We're helping teachers out, that kind of a thing. But what can we do as tech coaches to get our teachers as excited about bringing educational technology and infusing new things, trying out a new lesson, even though they are at home, skittish, scared, nervous, just trying to survive, and there's Wi-Fi issues all over the place? How do we take, Adam, what you just said, that excitement that you have about creating, sharing, caring, when the majority of teachers I work with just want to stay in their lane. Let's not share. I built, that kind of mentality. How do we share the love and how do we inspire others when, it's kind of weird times right now?
Something I talk about in the book is similarly, I tell a story about how as these techie people, as people see us, right? Teachers see us as these techie people, and we love it. And we're so excited, like you had said earlier, and we're fueled by all this. And so I entered my first year out of the classroom excited and about that, and I kind of overwhelmed everyone. Right? Because they weren't as excited as I was. And so how do you, what I had to learn is it's about getting to know those you serve and finding out what they are passionate about first before you ever talk about technology. So for example, I went into a classroom and the teacher, the administrator said that he had to work with me because he got a new Chromebook cart. He wasn't real excited. And so I looked around the room and I saw that he had a whole bunch of maps on the wall. And I said, "Do you like teaching geography?" And he went on and on and on and had a little spark about what was it he was excited about. And so I pivoted, and at the end of the session I showed him Google My Maps and Google Earth, and all of a sudden he spent time during his break to continue learning on his own. So I think that you can't have a one-size-fits-all approach. You can't say we are all learning about Flipgrid right now. We are all doing this. You have to get to know those you serve and find out what they are passionate about, and then say, "Oh, you are great at having conversation. You're great at facilitating conversations. So I'm going to suggest this Flipgrid thing. I think you'd love it."
So piggybacking on what you said there, what you were doing, you took what they liked and you became like a cheerleader for them. So if you look at the shirt I'm wearing, Manchester United, it's my favorite soccer team. And the coach they had previously was a great coach as far as tactics and his experience, but he was not a cheerleader. You made a mistake in the field, you'd see him getting angry and kicking water bottles. And think of how that must have made his players feel. Then he got fired. They hired their current coach, who's an absolute cheerleader. I mean, he's out there just giving all this encouragement. I think we have, as EdTech coaches, we have to be the same, because with technology, most teachers that we serve they're not hesitant, but they're apprehensive. It's new. It scares them. So if we are cheering them on and trying to promote all their ideas, no matter how small they think it is, and we're just giving them that support, then they feel the little rush of confidence. So early on, I want to say it was in September, I sent out an email. I go, hey, they know my blog was starting to get pretty popular. So I sent out an email. I go, hey, I want to feature you guys on my blog. If you allow me to come into your classroom and take a quick picture of your workflow, of your setup, of your screens and all the way you have it, I want to feature, the stuff, how you set it up, so we can inspire other teachers. And I got a dozen emails within 5 minutes. Hey, come take a picture of my setup. And they were just so excited. And if I see them in passing now, they'll ask me, hey, well, what's next? What's next? Like that simple little way of showing just what they do themselves, and that it's valuable, went such a long way, and they're really kind of boosting that morale.
I love that. The whole idea of finding a teacher and morale boosting, keep everybody going, keep everybody there, and keep things motivated. I mean, that's the time when that whole work-home balance doesn't really matter as much, because the stuff you're doing outside is to support that stuff that you're doing inside. You're constantly figuring out how to make this all happen. The book, again, is called The Complete EdTech Coach, An Organic Approach to Supporting Digital Learning. The authors are my wonderful guests today, Adam Juarez and Katherine Goyette. Where can we pick up a copy of this?
It is available on Amazon and at Barnes & Noble. So look up The Complete EdTech Coach, and you will find it there. You could even Google The Complete EdTech Coach and find it as well. Also, you can follow us on Twitter. Adam is at Tech Coach Juarez, and I am at Kat_Goyette. And we would love to connect with you. Really, it's really about connections. So when you read the book, you'll feel like you get to know us a little bit, because as coaches, we feel that that's really important, and that we give a little bit about ourselves to those we serve. So we are here to connect. We want to hear all the great things you're doing as well. And check it out. Amazon's or Barnes & Noble.
Highly recommended. I'm going to be certainly flipping through it over the next couple of days. One of the things that we're working on, I know our audience knows that we haven't talked about this yet, but we're actually in the process right now of my district of hiring 8 full-time digital learning specialists. I'm having a great time meeting them and getting to know them, but this is certainly something I'm going to be putting in front of them and sharing with them this book, because it is absolutely a winner. Check it out, The Complete EdTech Coach. We're going to have all the links to both Barnes & Nobles and Amazon, and you never know, you might see these two wonderful guests come to a Tech Coach Network meeting. We, of course, do our meetings every single Wednesday at 8:30 Eastern. We would love to have it. By the way, guys, that's 5:30 your time. You can make it happen. We're going to have a good time today with all of this stuff. And, of course, we want to have you guys be a part of the TeacherCast Tech Coaches Network. Check it out over on AskTheTechCoach.net. And, of course, you can find the archives for this show over at AskTheTechCoach.com. Well, we want to say thank you to Adam and Katherine for coming on the show today, sharing this great book. And again, we want to say thank you to our friends over at Dave Burgess Publishing for helping to put out another amazing publication out there for all you guys. Check out all the great stuff over at DaveBurgessPublications.com. What's the link for that, guys?
Yeah, pretty.com.
Okay. We'll make sure we have all the links for that stuff. On behalf of everybody here in the TeacherCast Educational Network, my name is Jeff Bradbury, reminding you guys to keep up the great work in your classrooms and continue sharing your passions with your students.
You've been listening to Ask the Tech Coach, hosted by Jeff Bradbury of the TeacherCast Educational Network. Please reach out to the show with all of your questions on Twitter at AskTheTechCoach or online at www.askthetechcoach.com. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. And please take a moment to write a review in the App Store.